Alright, hello everybody. This is the realistic runner, Alex. I'm out getting ready for one of my first runs of the new year. Yeah, it is mid-February, but it's been a long winter. We had our first baby, so that's my excuse. But today I just want to talk about stretching before your run and talk a little bit how that applies to everyday life too after that. So what I do for my stretches before I run is I do some quad stretches, which I'm not sure of the exact name, but this is kind of what it is. You hold your knee back, hold your foot back for a few seconds. Same thing on both sides. And I like to go back and forth, just holding for a few seconds. Just like that, kind of back and forth. Kind of loosens up the knees. I've got a few knee issues. Right knee I injured while wrestling with somebody, so it gets sore after a while. So it's important for me to stretch my knees and my quads. Another one I do is the hamstring stretch, which is pretty obvious. I mean, people have been doing this forever. Just bend at the waist, feel a stretch in the back of your knees, through your legs. Hold that one for just a few seconds, and then the last one I do really before running is kind of pulling the knees up. Kind of gets you a good stretch in the groin and hip flexors too. But with that, after just a couple minutes, I'm going to start off with a nice little walk. I'm going to start my GPS. So with my GPS started, I'm just going to kind of start walking. Some of the things that are loose from sitting at a desk all day at work. Get those kind of up and going, moving. And then I'm going to start off with a jog. Now that's it for talking about how to start running, because who really wants to talk about that? Really, one of my goals in starting this content on Instagram or on my blog is to kind of compare running with everyday life, and how something as simple and physical as running really relates to a lot of challenges we have in life. And today I want to talk about just stretching, pre-stretching in particular. You can tell I haven't ran in a while because it's been about 2 minutes. Actually, it's been less than that, and I'm kind of out of breath. So one thing I've always struggled with in life was trying to prepare too much, trying to over prepare, and never really getting started at anything. And that's born out of fear of failure, as is most things that we don't do or choose not to do. Because if you actually started something and it didn't work out, you can't blame anybody but yourself at that point. So why not just keep stretching or just keep preparing? And a lot of that has to, what I'm doing right now. I've been trying to get a blog going, get something going, and been preparing for weeks. And even today when I got home from work, getting ready to run, I felt very uncomfortable about holding a selfie stick while running. What would my neighbors think? Was my first thought. But if you're like me, I don't really know my neighbors, so who cares? So I figured I'm just gonna go for it, and that's kind of just a very, very small example of shut up and do it. Stop preparing, stop telling yourself that you're preparing, and that it's all worth it. You just need to go out and do the work, because that's the only thing that gets anything done. So another thing that I've really found success is in reading. This January 1st, I started a 60 book reading challenge this year. That's 60 books in 1 year. That's more than one per week. And I think there's probably very few people out there that would say that's not that big a deal or that's not that hard. But I think most people would be like, wow, that seems like a lot, more than one per week. But it's February 19th and I'm ahead of schedule, and I'm not much of a reader. I don't particularly like reading that much, but I'd heard somewhere that billionaires read 60 books per year, and I know that just reading 60 books isn't going to make me a billionaire, but it's a good start. And out of breath. So a lot of the books I'm choosing to read are, I guess what you would say is self-help books, but self-improvement maybe is a better category for it that's not as derogatory. But books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, fantastic book, by the way. I've read 3 in that series. And he's got like 9 more. And another good one is, right now I'm reading Gary V's Crushing It, or no, is that what it is? Yeah, I think it's Crushing It. His first book is Crush It, 2009. Now, got a semi-new one, I think a couple of years old, called Crushing It. It's talking about how to get your goals. And it's a great book. About maybe a fourth way through it. So you might ask, how the hell am I gonna read 60 books in a year? That's like 1.2 per week, something like that. 300-page books. Well, what I'm doing is audiobooks count, and I found that because I still have a CD player in my 95 Honda, the books on disc are widely available at libraries. So I'm picking up a lot of disc books, and it's been really good. Really allows me to get ahead, but I do still read real books, real printed books, and I'm not a fast reader. I can probably knock out one every couple weeks, but if I can do one audiobook a week and one regular printed book a week, that's kind of how I'm ahead of schedule. So that's some of the goals that I've set for, I guess that's just one goal that I've set for the new year. And one thing I found on this, I guess you could call it a journey, is that writing it down is really important. Everybody says that, but it really is. It's very important to write down your goals. It's kind of a way of holding yourself accountable. Because if you write it down, you don't forget it. And when you actually sit down to write it down, you have to put some thought into it instead of just seeing something on YouTube, on Instagram, and saying, man, I really wish I could get a Toyota Tacoma lifted and go on some adventure off in the dirt somewhere. That's not one of my goals yet, but that's kind of how our society thinks, is through consuming and then wishing we had, and then consuming some more rather than working towards a goal. And I just think that writing down goals is really important, and it's helped me. I only started probably last summer, 8 months ago or so, and it's been quite a world of difference. Now, I would hear people talking on YouTube or talking in a blog saying that this made a world of difference. And while it does, I'll tell you a secret, you still have to work. You still have to work at achieving those goals, making little bite-sized chunks that you can accomplish. And if you watch this video for any length of time, you probably realize I'm very paranoid about running on roads, running around cars, because I think we all know we're all just a text message away from somebody veering off and changing our lives as runners forever. So I'll probably be looking over my shoulder a lot. But talk a little bit more about this idea that I have for video blogs, podcasts, written content like a blog. My goal overall is to do maybe a few of these runs a week where I talk about whatever currently I'm struggling with or working through, or just cool insights I have while reading these books by very successful people, or things that I accomplish in my life. And I hope that it helps somebody, particularly with running, because I'm 6'2", 175 pounds now, and it's heavier than I usually am. And a lot of people would say I'm built for running, and I guess I am. But it's not to say that you can't go out and be a runner at any body style. And I'm hoping that this content helps somebody realize that the reasons why you're not running probably have much deeper roots, not just in the excuse you tell yourself about how you have short legs, or you're not an endurance person, or what. It's usually more along the lines of the deeper interpersonal challenges that we all face. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of other people's judgment. And that's truly what stops us all from achieving our goals. And it's something that I hope that I can help with, is helping people get closer to their goal. Because whether we say it or not, we all have high ambitions for ourselves. We have big goals that we think we can accomplish, and I think everybody can get there, but it's a matter of recognizing the inner struggles that we all have. And I'm definitely one who has an entrepreneurial hope, but one of the struggles I have is that I've worked for the government since I was 18. So essentially my entire adult life, I'm 31 now, has been spent working for the government. And it's been great. Makes you a really good employee. Well, it doesn't make you a good employee. I feel like I am a good employee, but you're not really going to get rich in government work, at least the work that I do, can make a fine living for yourself, but I'd rather bet on myself and go out and see what I'm really made of. And I hope that some of you can see that too, that it doesn't have to be starting a business or starting a YouTube channel. Although if you listen to any of Gary Vee's stuff, that seems to be the way the world's going. At least it can be if you want it to be. But lost my train of thought. Probably because I'm very out of breath. Whew. Also trying a new fitness watch today. Usually I run with Fitbit, but trying out the Apple Watch. And we'll see how that goes. And maybe running with a GoPro on a selfie stick is throwing off my balance. That'll be the excuse I use today. That's why I'm so tired. It's because of the GoPro. Normally I'd be crushing this run. I wouldn't have lost my breath. Running 7-minute miles. I don't even want to look at what I'm running now. I guess I can talk about my running career. So I started running in high school, and my freshman year of high school, I was in freshman football. It's kind of a funny story. I had never played football before, loved watching it, but never played it. And it was my first year in public high school. So, first week of school, I didn't really have very many friends. So the coach asked me, while he was handing out lockers for the locker room, just for regular gym class, the coach asked me, why aren't you playing football? And naive me thought, the coach must see something in me. Must think that he can just tell by looking at me I'm an athlete. Which was not the case. I was very pudgy back then. So I responded, well, I don't know. I'll join today. So I joined. First week of practice. That was quite a challenge, quite a different life I had just selected for myself. And I wanted to quit. And I did quit, as a matter of fact. But thankfully my dad told me, no, you don't quit. You go back down there and ask to be back on the team. So with my tail between my legs, I went back and asked the coach if I could be on the team again. And the coach said, why are you asking me? I said, my dad told me to. And he said, okay, but you can't quit. And I said, I know, sir. So I got back on the team, and it was rough, but it's overall a good experience. And after it was over, it was great. I was like, oh man, see, it's over. I can go home after school. It's wonderful. And I did not sign up the next year. But as winter came of my sophomore year, I was thinking, man, I think I really would like to do one sport per year. So I signed up for track, and once again let the coach size me up, and he said I was a distance runner. So I joined the distance team. There's probably a lesson in there about not letting people choose things for you, be your own person, know what you want in life, something like that. But I'm just thinking of that now. So I get on track, and me and the drummer from my high school band, we were the slowest on the team. Me and him were neck and neck for last every time, and it was like that every year. Never got better, and that was absolutely because I didn't try. I was just there to check the box. I did a sport, so I made it through, and my the triumph of the only achievement I ever got was they had to, since I made it senior year, still running track, and since I was a senior, they didn't want to put me on JV distance at the districts, so And they were like, okay, well, we'll put him in the 800 on varsity. And I knew that they didn't have high hopes for me, so I got on the starting line, which on the 800 you're all staggered, so you don't start all at the same spot. And there was one guy behind me, so I was on, I think the number 2 lane is what that would make me, and I took off in a sprint, and those guys were fast. The guy who was in the far lane, I had heard of him, so he was very fast. He was kind of a local track star. And so I took off, and I just was like, oh, I'll just try to go as fast as they can. And 800 is 2 laps around a regular track. And after the first lap, which to me was a dead sprint, the guy who was in lane 1, who had started behind me, hadn't passed me. And I thought to myself, hey, I could beat somebody. So that second lap ran even harder than the first one. And on that last straight, did a full sprint, dying. And I expected that he was just saving his kick for the last 100 meters. So I summoned all that I had, and he didn't pass me. I beat one person, and that was the highlight of my high school running career. Not that glamorous. But after that, I didn't run very much. Never thought of myself as a runner. And then joined the Army when I was 19. And as it turns out, I was a much better runner, although still not very good, than everybody in my basic training course. And I took some pride in that. So I went out and gave it my all, and even helped other people who had never ran in their life, who would join the Army when they were 18, help them get through it. And it was a lot of fun. During my Army career, about 8 years, probably a little before halfway, 3-year mark, I found a book called Born to Run. Awesome book. I'll link that in any description so the viewer can look and see if he wants to buy it, or she, the one viewer that may be watching. But that book is all about barefoot running and how humans are designed to be endurance runners, and that may be true, maybe not. I feel that it rang true for me, but I wouldn't hold anybody to that, saying that you're built to be an endurance runner. Why aren't you doing it? But it got me on a kick of 5-finger shoes, which you may have seen during my stretches that I'm wearing these toe shoes, which everybody loves to make fun of. But I've been running in them for, almost 10 years now, probably. And I love them. You do occasionally step on a rock, but it's the only way I like running. When I put my foot in a shoe and run, it's, I don't know, there's something weird about it. It feels like my feet don't have control. They feel like they kind of slide around inside the shoe looking for grip. So I've always been a fan of these. Not saying that everybody should do these, particularly if you're a new runner or you're, beyond 40 and you're starting to run. Definitely start with a shoe, maybe go down to your local running store and have them size you up. I'd be surprised if they recommended a 5-finger shoe, but I think they're great. I've heard a lot of horror stories about people's arches collapsing in them, and I've done no research on that. I've heard it, but I don't know if they were new runners and they just bought those shoes and went out on a 5-miler, or what, if it really is a bad design in the shoe. But I've not had any problems. I feel as if you can make the cut, as far as like slowly working yourself into them, you can make it through all that, your feet will be stronger for it. They'll be able to hold up to more, well, I guess more tension, that more flexibility that these type of shoes require. But I'm coming to my cool down here, final stretch, and it's about 23 minutes. It's not too bad. Not too bad for my second run of this year. Thanks for watching. If anybody did watch, I had fun making it, actually. I was very nervous about it. Nervous about what people would think, and I did see a couple of people looking, but that's okay. It's kind of fun. Follow me on Instagram or check out my blog at realistic.runner.com. It's actually realistic.runner.com. And follow me on Instagram at realistic.runner. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.